Okay, it's good to know you're still with us on the program. Let's put our first discussion on TMI this Thursday morning on the road. When the COVID-19 outbreak sometime in March was officially announced in Nigeria, one of the issues that many persons had been concerned about and still get worried about up until this point is the issue of the economic impact the pandemic was going to have, especially, as I said at the top of the show this morning, in the area of agriculture, food security in particular. And back home in Edo State, where we are, for instance, we understand that the governor in particular has deep-rooted interest in agriculture, and he believes is one of the areas where substantial investments must be made to help create as much opportunities in that very critical sector as possible. But what are the challenges? What are some of the headwinds we must grapple with to be able to break even and then have as much investment made in that sector as possible? I'm joined by Richard Debbie, is the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture in Edo State. It's a pleasure to have you in the program this morning.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning. Good to be here.
Yeah, of course it is. I'm very sure you have followed the news in the last couple of months. A lot of global agencies have talked about food security or insecurity, depending on the context, across Africa, where we are in particular. The COVID-19 has brought a whole lot of challenges. Farmers are not able to do so much now, apparently, as they ought to be doing. To what extent are we already harnessing the power of agriculture beyond COVID-19?
Okay, good morning, our esteemed viewers, and thanks for having me, my friend and brother. The truth, when the issue of this COVID-19 broke, the governor sat down with his team and said, okay, we need to look on the way forward. As we all know, he is a governor who believes in the agrarian economy. He has been pushing for that. He knows that the future is in agric. Agric is the new boss. So we sat down and we had a two-way and two-model approach, which is the short term and the long term. For the short term, we understood that the smallholder farmers contribute 80% to the food production in Nigeria. So we thought it was nice to have a program with them. So Mr. Governor came up with an initiative which is called the Independent Farmers Initiative. What that initiative is all about is having our smallholder farmers, we sit with them, we talk to them, unlike the CACS program, which is bent on the commercial agriculture. This one is a little bit different. So what we do, we sit with them, we ask them what they really need, we ask them if they have farm, and if they have those farm, we talk to them, and we give them the required inputs that they need to produce that hectare of farm they have. So what we do, we actually ordered most of all these inputs. This input is going to be given to them in form of loan. But the beauty about it is the state government is going to offtake all these farmers. It's going to offtake them, we're going to buy it off them. So when they are done with their production, we still aggregate them, and whatever crop they're able to produce, we buy it off them. And the input we have given to them, we quantify it and just minus the amount of input, and the rest is for them. So in doing that, we can aid production for this coming farming season. Because COVID-19, we actually understand that it will be hard for some of them to get the desired input, to get fertilizers, to get herbicide and so on. But with this initiative the governor has come up with, it will be easy for them to lay hands on all this. Not only having the input, we went further to build a warehouse that will house all these inputs in a central location, even though we're planning to also decentralize it, to have it in various senatorial districts and various local governments for ease of distribution. So all these farmers will give them a docket. Once we apply, they get it, they go to the warehouse, pick up the inputs. Another thing the governor was very concerned about, he wanted this thing to go to the grassroots farmers, the original farmers. We didn't want to have political farmers. We didn't want to have farmers that would just come and mess up the whole system as has happened in time past. So what he did was that we needed a database we could verify. So we actually went out, we got Subeb database from SBMC farmers. We got database from Edo Job. We also got database from Fadama Source, because these are various programs that have engaged farmers in time past. And when these farmers were engaged, they didn't know this kind of program was going to come by. So we actually got the original farmers. And we're not stopping there. We understand that there are some farmers who may not have who may not have given their data then, but they are original farmers. So we also have a line that we will make available whereby they can call if they want to be part of the program, and we profile them. For you to be part of the program, it's just for you to own a land. Once you own a land, we'll come there, we'll verify it, and if that is done, then your input is given to you. Now, the stage we are now, like in the project life cycle, we have the initiation, planning, execution, and handover. So we are currently in the execution phase of this short-term plan. Now, talking about the other model, which is the long-term, that has to do with agri-commercialization. Again, with the fall of Brent crude oil and bonny light fuel, you will understand that crude oil is not what we should be relying on. And the government had made it very clear that salaries and pensions are sacrosanct. They must be paid. So we have to look for another means whereby the states can generate excess funds, even though the money coming from federation account may actually drop. We understand that because of the time.
I'm going to pop in on you so we can create proper context for this conversation. I've had brilliant guests on this program, just like yourself, who have said one of the issues we'll deal with in Nigeria, which sadly has become like a pattern, like a culture, is the fact that interventions are always with the mindset of stopgap. So you always have stopgap measures. Let's just do this for the next 1 year. Let's just do this for the next 2 years, just to quickly fix a problem. Is this a long-term approach to the issue of agriculture?
Okay, like I said, with the two models, but for the short term, it's going to be a long term. We're going to keep doing it. Even for the first phase, we're going to be for like 3 to 4 months. After that, it's going to be a rollover. So any farmer who does his and is successful, he will come back to us and we'll continue. We're in the wet season now, so we're hoping the farmers who start now, as soon as they are successful in their cropping season, we'll roll them over again. Then talking about the commercialized agriculture that I spoke about, the plan is we actually sat down to identify key commodities that the states will have to actually go into. Because we also understood the fact that for you to get the maximum benefit from agriculture, you must also go into processing. Because if you process agriculture...
So we're talking value chain at this point.
Yes, if you complete the value chain of any agricultural commodity, you stand to make 80% benefit of what you would gain. But if you don't do that, you will lose a lot. So in doing that, we actually interviewed some farmers, and we understand that in the state so far, we've always been bent on production, but we want to diversify a little bit into processing. We have contacted some investors, even the states as itself. Even in time past, we understand that, say, government has no business in business. They only create enabling environment. But we're going to go a step further to see how best we can woo investors down. Not only woo investors as a state, we'll go into processing and see how we can help our farmers, cluster them, get their goods, process it for them, and for exports zone. So in picking those commodities, we picked the high-value commodities, which we are currently on, and we are speaking to our farmers. We're going to go deep because we have an entrepreneurial program that has been running before. So we'll cluster the same farmers. When we get them, we'll go into processing. Because recently, I spoke to some retail outlets like Jara, and when I went there, I was surprised that the shelves were empty, and I asked them why. They said, yes, they had issues with our local farmers because they don't packaged properly. A lot of them don't have NAFDAC numbers. So because of that, they have to buy goods from Lagos. And I was amazed. So we've gone a step further to see how we can sit with NAFDAC, to see how they can make the process of getting NAFDAC numbers seamless for Edo vendors, and also want to see how government can assist smallholder farmers in packaging, in processing, so that their goods can be displayed on most of these retail outlets. We're not only doing that, we're also going a step further. The state government is trying to see how we can create a processing zone, whereby in that processing zone, all infrastructures will be channeled towards that place. We're hoping to get power source from the Osimo power plant. The government is already working in road infrastructure. We're trying to access another funds through the RAMP, Rural Access to Agricultural Marketing Program. If that is done, it will avail us the funds to create rural roads for our farmers so they can bring their goods out to that processing zone.
There was something you said that stuck out for me. You talked about high-value commodities. What are some of those commodities, for instance?
Like rice is a high-value commodity because it's what people eat, is a staple food. Right. Cassava too is a high-value commodity. Oil palm is a high-value commodity. Cocoa, high-value commodity. So these are some of the crops that we want to really go into to see how we can help complete the entire value chain so that we can maximize the benefits accrued from it.
As it stands today, we have been told, excuse me, by NCDC and other relevant authorities that we are not out of the woods yet regarding the COVID-19, so which means there's a whole lot of work to be done. How much of a challenge does that pose for the agricultural sector as a whole?
Although it's supposed to be a lot, but again, because we have a very proactive government, we actually swung into action, because what we do now is anything that has to do with agriculture, we give them the necessary pass.
Okay.
Because we know that could actually hinder some of this produce. Imagine some companies who sell day-old chicks. If they have to move it interstate, if they have problem in crossing borders, it will be a challenge. But the governor gave us an express waiver and said anybody who comes, if it's an agricultural produce. Because if you watch, I think the second broadcast of Mr. President, he actually said all Federal Ministry of Agri should do everything possible to ease the movement of agricultural products around the states. So we're working on that. And we also understand that, yes, because of the COVID-19, farmers may cause some challenges for them. But again, farming is not an occupation you do in clusters. It's an occupation you can do in isolation. You can actually have your farm, grow it in your own place. So we actually just took them down. We have extension workers who are in the ADP who actually tutor them, give them the necessary guidelines, how they can work without having issues with this disease. So we're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's to make sure we have a seamless agricultural season this COVID-19.
Every time we talk about things regarding agriculture and housing in particular, then you always hear about the PPP, the public-private partnership. Yeah. Are we exploring that element in this along this line?
Yes, of course. We have a PPP office who is headed by a very laudable lady. What we do is for any investor, any investment that is coming to the states, we try to run them through, because we still understand that government has to create an enabling environment. So it's the PPP office that sits down to advise both parties to see how best various investments can run smoothly in the states without getting any hitch from it. Yeah.
You know, when Lagos partnered Kebbi States regarding the Lake Rice a few years ago, a lot of persons said this was a step in the right direction. In fact, they even said so other states should take a cue from that, right? That was a milestone. It was a groundbreaking initiative as far as the agricultural sector in this country is concerned. In the end, what makes this a very unique initiative, as it were?
Okay. Again, like I said, we have a lot of investors who have shown keen interest to see they want to work with the states. One of it is Farm Forts. Recently, we have just had an interface. The governor was even at the meeting. Okay. They want to go into rice production.
But no deal has been sealed, I guess.
We're still in the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They want to go into rice production and processing in the states. What they want to do is they want to interface with our farmers. They want to use the Fadama model to see how they can get farmers who would grow this rice for them, because they've already set up their mill already. They are also into potato chips making. They also have a farm here as well. They have their company there. So doing all this, they will actually help the states also increase the GDP of the states. Apart from Farm Force, we also have Asinata, who are into ethanol production. Right. They've also come to the state. That is why when we do all this program, when we tell our farmers that we're going to offtake, we're not just saying it because we just want to say it.
It's in practice.
It's in practice. We already have companies, investors who are already on the sideline waiting to offtake all these goods. But because they need a seamless process, they need the buy-in of the government, so that there won't be different hitches interfacing with the farmers, because we already have different models, different structures in place. We have the Fadama structure, we have the entrepreneurial program that is running. We already have farmers that we have already streamlined that are currently in most of our programs. So in doing this, it will make the process seamless for all these investors.
You know, I've taken our time since 2016 in particular to talk with farmers and also talk with those who lead the several associations regarding farming in this state. You keep hearing about middlemen. Some have alleged that these middlemen, as it were, come to the villages, come to the rural areas generally to exploit the farmers themselves. Is that narrative changing in light of the several things you've said?
Okay, I will say yes. Let me quickly just illustrate what we have done in the past 3 years in the agricultural sector. When this administration came on board, we thought it would be nice to, because if you keep doing the same thing, you won't get a different result. We illustrate what has been done before and what do we do now to get a different result. We noticed that the people of Edo actually saw agric as a venture, which we thought we could change the narrative, because for them to really get the benefit of it, they need to see it as a business. So in seeing it as a business, there are key measures you must put in place. You won't just tell a youth to come into farming if you don't give him access to credit, if you don't give him access road, if you don't have storage capacity, if you don't have because there will be storage lost, if you don't have capacity building, essential workers that will train them on this program. So in doing that, Mr. Governor actually went to the CBN and sought a loan, which is called the CACS Fund, Commercial Agri Credit Scheme. What that fund does, it helps to aggregate, specifically aggregate our farmers. We talk to them, we train them on a cluster. They tell us what they want to do. If, for example, they want to do rice farming, we cluster them. They open an account in a specific bank, for example, Sterling Bank, and the money, the loan is paid into the farmer's account directly. We're trying to cut out all these middlemen activities. But again, we understood that some farmers could actually just go there and withdraw the money. So a lien is placed on the account. When that lien is placed on the account, the government will now go in search for the input suppliers. We go for, when we search for the input suppliers, in order to make the process also easy for the farmers, we negotiate with the input suppliers. And when we bargain with them, the input is being supplied for a specific amount. For that amount, is being deducted from the farmer's account, is bought. If we buy the input, all the fertilizers they need, herbicide they need, we give it to them. And when the program is fully developed, when they harvest their product, the government again will come. Again, as soon as we start the program, we'll get off-takers who are on the sideline again, waiting to off-take those products. They will come, they'll harvest, they'll buy off the product. And the money we initially get to the farmers, which we have been spending to buy the input, will be, when they sell the goods, will be paid back to the government. On the cash loan, it's just 5%. So for each farmer, when we take back the loan we give to you, we take 5% off the loan we have given to you. Then the many money is yours for you to now go on the same process. Now, the good thing about this is automatically you become an entrepreneur in the agri business, in the agri industry. That's why the program is called Agripreneur Program. And so far, we've had a lot of prospects. We've had a lot of people who have keyed into it. Recently, we clustered the Libya returnees, about 50 of them. They are currently at the Edo ADP. Intergovernor approved the loan for them. They are into catfish production. And we saw, I was there 2 days ago. We saw the success. We again wrote to Mr. Governor, and he approved for another 50. Ute fish farmers were doing that for them. We had poultry production. We did that. Maize production in Usugbenu, Sobe, rice in Warake, Ilushi. All these are programs that are going on. And it is very, very fruitful. It is doing well. People have come up to show testimony about it. So for me, I think I'm on the right path.
Before we let you off to go pursue your schedule for today, just one more question. Young people, especially young, as Americans would say, college-educated people, don't seem to find farming appealing. Have we seen significant change on that front, given all of the efforts we've seen, particularly in Edo State?
Okay, thank you for that question. The truth is, everywhere I've been to, I always say this. I'm a youth, and I'm in agriculture. When I was put in the Ministry of Agriculture, when I saw all the...
But you don't look like you're a farmer.
Yeah, I'm going to go there. When I saw all the various plants in agriculture, I was like, what have I been doing in my previous sector I've been? You know, actually piqued interest. I'm actually a farmer because I learned all this through my dad, because he's also a farmer too. So, but I just want to encourage the youth that we have a lot of programs. Mr. Governor is very, very... he stressed the need for the youth to come in, because for any society to succeed, you need the youth buy-in. They form an integral part of any society. So what we plan to do is, as far as we are a youth, we have just come to the Ministry of Agric. We'll talk to you, cluster yourself, any particular kind of farm you want to do, even though you are not a farmer before, or just come to us. We'll talk to you. Then we have the extension workers that are with us. They will speak to you also, and we'll cluster you. All the desired input you need will be given to you for your production. So we have that plan in place. We're encouraging the youth to come forward. Then let me just speak about capacity building vis-a-vis research and development. We still understand that if we do all this and we don't train for sustainability, it will be effort in futility. That is why recently the governor did the groundbreaking for the College of Agric, Igoriaki. The essence of that school is to train the desired manpower to run the agric sector. So what we are doing now is a total rebate, because when this administration came on board, we saw that the school was in sham. And if agriculture were to be the next boss, if agriculture is to be the next place we go into, the school needs to be properly developed. So it's a total rebate. As I speak to you, we're currently doing recruitment for staff that would be employed in the school. The contractors are currently working there, and we're hoping in a couple of months the school will be up and running. We have 3 schools under the college. We have one in Igoriaki, one in Uromi, and one in Agenebode. So these are some of the plans the government have put in place in order to ensure agric is taken to the next level.
Richard Debery is the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture in Edo State. We want to thank you so very much for coming to talk to us about the agricultural sector, particularly with a focus on efforts being made post-COVID-19 to harness the potential in that sector. Coming right up, we want to look at the ideals of internal democracy within political parties and going forward, how we can entrench those factors and then have better governance output, not just in our state, but across this country. Stay with us.